going on today, guys? I'm gonna pick up my fescue seed today at Southern Seeds, and Kevin's gonna talk to us. Him and his folks here know a lot about seeds. They're gonna talk to us about some different seed stuff. So let's go in and see what's up. What's going on, guys? I'm with Kevin. Introduce yourself, Kevin.
Hey, I'm Kevin Sharp with Southern Seeds.
Kevin's got a few seeds in here. Do you know how many individual seeds are in here, Kevin?
Millions.
Millions. But anyway, this is where we get the Triple Threat Plus from, the fescue, and I got my Monaco Bermuda from here that we use in some yards, and what's your other Bermuda blend with the Transcontinental?
Oh, that's the Professional's Choice.
Professional's Choice.
Yep.
So all your seed needs are right here. And fortunately, he has some online sales he does.
That's right.
And he's local right here near Raleigh. He's halfway in between Raleigh and where I live. So if you're in the Raleigh area or eastern North Carolina even, it's a good spot to come pick you up some seeds. And you'll sell individual bags and stuff, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Even got some 20-pound, 25-pound bags of the Triple Threat stuff. So we're going to walk around a little bit and see if Kevin can share some about some of these seeds, and we'll talk about some of this stuff. So stand by. This is the Pure Sport. This is the ryegrass, the perennial ryegrass they're using to cover on a lot of the sports fields and all. But if you're going to get your ryegrass, you better hurry up.
It's been a little challenging this year with the fires out in Oregon and just crop challenges and so forth. It's been a struggle for ryegrass this year, but we've got some coming, so it's on the way.
Yeah, but you know these things are a crop, and most of it comes from, Oregon and that part of the world. So, you gotta take into account what's going on in the world. It's probably going to affect your prices and your availability on some of it. But he's got plenty of fescue, but as of right now, his ryegrass is what's a little low. And I have heard some distributors talking about that they don't have much fescue. Actually, we won't name Green Roof Horses who they are, but I have heard that. This, of course, is the Triple Threat. He's got Triple Threat and Triple Threat Plus. They had some Triple Threat green tag, but you don't need to worry about that. They just sold it all. It was just slightly less rigorously reviewed seed variety, maybe some older seed varieties that he was able to get at a slightly better price. But like I said, don't worry about it because it just all got sold.
Well, the Triple Threat Blue Tag Certified, it's basically comprised of varieties that were researched and developed here in North Carolina, pure seed testing in Rollsville. And so we've selected those varieties out of those trials and that have performed well against brown patch, heat tolerance issues and so forth. And so we feel like we've got good varieties that they're going to do well in this area because we've seen them under their development stages on turf plots and so forth. And so that's really what we do with Triple Threat, is try to interject new varieties when they become available commercially to the seed distributors and so forth. And so here we go.
That's awesome. I used a good bit of this on some of the yards last year. I got some really good results. I got kind of hammered in late August on some yards. I think maybe gray leaf spot, but weird weather year this year. But I mean, it's always a weird.
Well, we're in the transition zone, and so we're not perfect on any of it in this area. But so it's good for cool season and good for warm season, but they both have challenges, and so we just try to take some of the challenge out of it by having good varieties.
If you all of these varieties are pure seed research varieties, and if you can go to online and look at the stuff Pure Seed's putting out and doing, it's pretty impressive. And then, like Kevin was talking about, the Rollsville torture test facility just up the road. I mean, Dr. Fraser up there's doing some amazing stuff to develop genetics on some of these seeds and just put some of these seeds through the paces. It's amazing how much work goes into just developing some grass seed. You'd think you just throw it out and roll, but I mean, from the research there to the the way that it's farmed, how particular they are about the farmers who actually grow the seed, the process where they harvest the seed, and then Kevin's even talking about logistics now getting it here. They said they usually do it by rail.
By rail, yeah, and that's challenging because there's a container shortage. They've had fires in Oregon, right in the neighborhood where most of the seed is grown and processed and everything, and that's created some challenges. But yeah, from a research standpoint, it takes anywhere from 7 to 10 years when they start looking at turf plots and looking and selecting varieties and so forth to the point in time where you can actually get it commercially available to you. So there's a process involved, most definitely.
Yeah, it's amazing. All right, and this one is available on your online website
Absolutely.
too.
Absolutely.
Sell that grass seed. Well, when we said he didn't have much ryegrass, I meant the perennial ryegrass. He's got annual ryegrass coming out his ears. This is good for cover. I mean, for years, when I first started in the mowing business, we would go through in September and just cover everything, people's dog, everything with annual ryegrass, just so we could keep working all winter, mowing. And then by the springtime, we were about ready to choke ourselves because we had made such a mess with the ryegrass. But what are you selling a lot of this stuff primarily for?
Mostly overseeding, temporary seeding, construction projects. It's great. It comes up quick. I think some people say they will grow in concrete. I don't know about that, but anyway, it's just a good option for quick establishment. But in the springtime and early summer, it's going to go away. So it's not a permanent solution.
Well, that's true. That is the advantage of seeding with an annual ryegrass in the summertime. It will transition right out of your lawn and not cause any alepathy or anything like that in your favorable turf. But it is a booger to mow in the spring. Right here, this is bent grass. The golf industry, obviously we use this for greens and stuff, but that's kind of dwindling away, isn't it, Kevin?
Yeah, most of the courses in the North Carolina area have converted over to Ultradorf Bermuda grass greens. It's easier for the superintendents to take care of it. Not as much disease pressure in the summertime and so forth. We do still have some customers that have bent grass greens, but they are few and far between. But when you get into the western part of the state and other areas, bent grass is still a predominant grass for greens. And so we do have some selections here for some of our customers. And just like with the fescue and the ryegrass, there's research being done constantly on improving bent grass varieties for the golf market.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of the research and all, that's what we were just talking about earlier, how in the ryegrasses now, especially the perennial ryegrasses, I was seeing how they're just hanging on so much longer in the summer and that kind of thing. What's your thoughts and stuff on the research going in that direction?
Well, there's a lot of development on improving varieties, and typically it's disease improvement, heat and drought improvement, and so forth. And so they get better and better. And ryegrass, perennials are a permanent grass in some markets. In this market, it's not so much. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to find varieties that maybe aren't as heat and drought tolerant as others, but at the same time, you're trying to get the disease improvements and so forth. So it is a challenge to find ryegrasses for overseeding purposes that will transition out a little bit quicker. Some turf managers will end up spraying them out just so that they can focus on pushing their warm season grass in the spring and summer. But yeah, it is challenging for us to pick good varieties that we know are going to transition a little bit easier than others.
Mm-hmm. Well, you'll soon have back in stock the breakout, which is a kind of an in between. What can you talk about the breakout?
Yeah, the breakout is a turf annual, and so it's kind of in between an annual ryegrass and a perennial ryegrass, and it's got some characteristics of perennial in that it has a little bit darker color, a little bit slower growth habit than annual ryegrass, and so it's a good in between and economical choice for overseeding to get the quality that you're looking for, but you're not mowing it all the time either. Right. And then it'll transition earlier in the springtime without having to chemically transition it. which means
You gotta
spraying it
spray
out.
You got to spray it. But it does make a great dense turf. It looks pretty good. My experience with it was I did go ahead and have to spray that particular variety out. It was hanging on longer than I wanted it to
Yeah.
anyway. But for the money and what it did, I was impressed with it. I liked it.
Well,
I'd
most
recommend it.
of the ryegrasses, as long as you irrigate them and the weather cooperates, I mean they'll hang around.
Well, we had a really weird spring. We
did.
stayed really cool for a long time this spring too.
Yep.
So, what's the idea, Kevin, of selecting the different varieties you do, and why have 3 or 4 different varieties of seed in one blend?
Well, basically, in the research and development, you're trying to get varieties that are disease resistant or heat and drought tolerant, or have similarities. Some varieties are stronger than others from a performance standpoint and durability. You got traffic wear issues and so forth. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into the research. And so when we're looking at turf plots, whether it be at NC State or in Rollsville at Pure Seed Testing and places like that, we try to select varieties that we can see from their research that have rated high on different disease characteristics or heat and drought or traffic wear tolerance and other factors. And so when you put those in a blend, you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. I mean, if you have a single variety, if it gets a disease issue or whatever, then you're likely to lose the whole stand or a good portion of it, depending on the circumstances. But with a blend, you may lose, one of the varieties may be a little bit stronger on one area than another, and so basically you get a good blend of the best, and so that's kind of what we do when we're picking varieties and so forth, and both in ryegrass and fescue and others.
There it says there is no one perfect grass seed. There's even Bermuda blends and
That's correct.
all
Yep.
around.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about the bluegrass. Well, I don't know if that's not even the right one, is it? But
Oh,
yeah,
you're
it
talking
is.
about the shade?
Talk about the bluegrass. Why the bluegrass and
Oh,
the
yeah.
triple threat plus?
So basically, we do have a blend of fescue with 5% Jumpstart Kentucky bluegrass, and bluegrass in general works well with the fescue from an agronomic perspective, and as well as aesthetically, it enhances the color. But from an agronomic standpoint, bluegrass will regenerate once it gets established, and so if you do have some thin spots and some areas in the right growing conditions, then it will kind of fill in. Whereas a lot of people talk about rhizomatous tall fescue, fescue plant is kind of a monostand, and it doesn't really spread out as much as some people would like to
Switch hands.
would like to say it does. But bluegrass will fill in and so forth, and so we use it as an enhancement to the fescue, and it works well both from a sod growing standpoint and in a landscape and lawn care standpoint.
Does the bluegrass, what's the word I'm looking for? We reseed the fescue every year, and when we lose some fescue in the summer, it's gone. Like bluegrass, if it kind of plays out over the summer, are we maybe getting that 5% bluegrass that we had in our stand to maybe recover a little?
It will generally recover once it's established, and typically cool season grasses in this particular area and in the transition zone will kind of go semi-dormant in the summertime, July and August and so forth. And so once we get into September and we get some cool temperatures like we've had the past couple of days, I mean, both the fescue and the bluegrass will kind of perk back up a little bit, and but in particular, the bluegrass will start to fill in and so forth, and it will, if it's established, it will kind of fill in some of those thin spots and so
That's
forth.
where your fescue played
Right.
out, your bluegrass.
That's
and
right.
this particular bluegrass you've selected for this Jumpstart, what's special about that and its germination?
Well, its claim to fame is that it typically a bluegrass can take up to 21 days to germinate, and the Jumpstart has shown through research to germinate a little bit quicker, and so that's why we opted for it, and it also looks good and it performs well, but we opted for that with our fescue because most of the time the fescue is going to germinate in 5 to 7 days. You're really not going to see the bluegrass come into the picture unless you really get down and start looking at grass blades and so forth. But it just comes in a little bit quicker, and you know, people like to see results and so forth. So that's really why we selected that. And it's not until it matures out that you can actually get in there and kind of see the differences in the blades and so forth. But it's there. And typically with 5%, because it's a smaller seed, you're getting a lot more bluegrass in that 50-pound bag than you think you are. It's not just 5%. It's seed count.
It's more seeds to 5% of. I got you.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, you end up. You may end up with more of a bluegrass lawn over time in the right circumstances.
I got you. And then we talked a little bit about fine fescue, and it's pretty interesting. I've seen for myself here in this area some really dense shade areas in yards that you'd maybe had trouble with before with turf type tall fescue. The fine fescue actually does pretty well in there, and Kevin had showed me some pictures of some that he had planted not too far from where I live. But what's your suggestions on fine fescues?
Well, we carry a single variety hard fescue variety called Soil Guard. We carry some others as well, and then we also have a shade blend, which is basically a combination. There again, talking about different blends and varieties of grasses. Would have a fine fescue, a sheep's, a chewings, maybe even a creeping red or a bluegrass. But typically, in a shade situation, you know, like hardwoods, pines, and so forth, it's hard to get a lot of grasses to really get established. But in the fine fescue family, those tend to work well in those shady circumstances. Thick roots absorb moisture, and so take it away from the grass. And so these fine fescues have really performed well, and in low or no mowing conditions. I mean, so you can maintain them and mow them like a lawn, but they don't grow as fast. Or you can kind of let them, you know, grow up a little bit and become more of an ornamental grass.
And if you had like a bank or something that you didn't really want to have to be getting on to do maintenance on a lot, if you can get enough water on it and the conditions are right, the fine fescues would just kind of stay up there and be a little wispy, and you wouldn't have to worry about mowing. It's not going to get 48 feet tall or anything like that.
Yep.
All right, cool. All right, I guess we can wrap up now, but it's a great place. He's got chemicals too, so they're. I mean, maybe no chemicals available online. A few chemicals. I can leave that part out if you need me.
Yeah, but we do sell chemicals and erosion products, erosion control products, fertilizer. So come see us.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for having us, Kevin.
No problem.
We're gonna load up on some seed. We got a fist bump because of I didn't know if I needed to wear my gas mask in here or not. I do have a pure seed mask that they sent me.
Yeah. I keep mine with me all the time just in case I need it.
All right. That was fun. I got to learn some stuff. I hope y'all did too. So we're gonna see if I can make it back to the shop with this. Did make it back with this stuff, which is good news. Didn't want to see the shoulders of the highway on the way home. It's the triple threat. The plus means the extra bluegrass. The blue tag certification means that it's guaranteed that what they say is in the bag is in the bag, and weed-free analysis and all that. And we've covered in different things what it means to be free of noxious weeds and free of other material. The noxious weed thing is just what's deemed to be noxious by whatever state, and that could just be a couple of things. So that's not really saying a lot, but the 0% other materials, 0% weed seed is important. Got a little different varieties in this one this year. That's your varieties right there. The Lifeguard is a new variety. We saw that in testing last year at the Pure Seed test plots out in Rollsville. Good color, nice looking grass. If you follow Pure Seed on Instagram, they put up pictures of their progress on the testing. And this is being the plus, is gonna have a little bit of jump start bluegrass in it like Kevin was talking about. Awesome. I even got a new hat out of the deal. I appreciate those guys. And I've got one that I will give away as well. I want this video to get a lot of views, so we're going to up the stakes. What shows up in my feed as the 100th commenter on this video, I will get in touch with you and I will mail you through my own money and means through the UPS, a sweet Southern Seeds hat. Not this one, because I've already worn it. Who the hell would want that? I have another pristine, unworn. But enough of that crap. So the 100th commenter I know that it kind of shows up different on different people's stuff, but the one that shows up as number 100 on my junk, I will get in touch with you and send you this sweet Southern Seeds hat. Anyway, I appreciate those guys taking us around today and showing us and teaching us about seed. Kevin knows just bukus and bukus about seeds. That's his job, man. He's a seed nerd. He loves it, which is awesome for us because we don't have to do all the research. We can benefit from what he researched on and just get this stuff. I had really good results with this this past year. I used it, and I am in the 5th threshold of hell as far as my location for being successful with Bermuda grass. Yeah, we can grow Bermuda like amazing here as far as being successful with fescue. This has proved really strong in the transition zone. The color, disease resistance, drought resistance, all pretty good on this seed. It's as good as I found. So that's why I'm going out with it again this year. I appreciate you guys watching. Be the 100th commenter. And then also, if you're interested in getting some of this, do check out the, if you're, local. If you're anywhere in North Carolina, it's worth the drive to go out there and check them out. Give them a call first to see if they got what you're going to want, because different things are coming in every day and selling out every day. Like I see, sold out of the triple threat green tag, which, it wasn't that much cheaper, but it was just some, it hasn't gone through all the testing to be deemed blue tag. And it had, I think, one older variety in it. And this here has the new Lifeguard variety in it. So that will be pretty exciting to see what that does. All right, well, there you go, man. There's some pure seed, some Southern seeds. I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll check you out next time.